So in this Tools in 10, I'm going to show you some instructional strategies for teaching the vowel consonant E plus suffix rule, when you can introduce the rule in the lesson sequence, and then we'll look at a lesson plan for introducing this rule with the ing suffix. The vowel consonant E suffix rule is one of a handful of spelling rules, and the lesson page is found on page 255 in your training companion guide. You'll find it with a grouping of other additional spelling rules, which are listed at the bottom of the second page of the table of contents. All of these lessons listed here can be taught earlier in the lesson sequence as needed and as appropriate for the skill level of your students. It's important to keep in mind that words with ing suffixes are frequently used in early elementary printed text and also in writing. So teaching this rule early will help students be able to read and spell more words competently. We can see that vowel consonant E syllables are taught after teaching short vowels, and then again after teaching the blends and H brothers. The suffix ing first shows up on the NG lesson page, which is the lesson immediately following the vowel consonant E with blends and H brothers lesson. A list of base words with ing suffixes is here in the right-hand column of the lesson page. So a good place to introduce this skill is after teaching this lesson. When teaching this rule, use this lesson page as a teacher reference. The rule is stated in the instructional notes box at the top of the page, and it says, when a base word ends with a silent E, drop the E before adding a suffix that begins with a vowel. Now, why do we drop the E? Let's look at an example. If we simply add ing to the end of the word joke, it creates a vowel team, EI. We drop the silent E because the I actually does the job of the silent E by jumping over one consonant and telling the vowel to say its name. The same goes for adding the suffix ed. Without dropping the E, it creates another vowel team, EE, making the word jokeed. We drop one of the E's, so the other E can jump to make the vowel say its name. When we add a suffix that doesn't start with a vowel, such as S, we can just add it to the end of the word. The S does not create a vowel team, so the E can still jump and do its job. The top section of the lesson page shows examples of base words with a variety of suffixes added. You'll notice that some of the suffixes start with vowels and some don't. The right-hand column has the script for the thinking process when applying the rule. The bottom section of this page shows you one way that you can have students practice applying suffixes S, ed, and ing to different base words with silent E. Over time, you'll create numerous customized practice pages for your students with new base words, new suffixes, and review as well. Now, when I'm planning word study activities for teaching a new spelling rule, I always select words my students can read easily so that their brain power can be spent on learning the spelling rule instead of decoding unfamiliar words. For example, here I've selected these words because I'm teaching the spelling rule after I've taught the NG page, which means my students have been taught the vowel consonant E lesson pages. They have also done the vowel consonant E with blends and H brothers lesson. When selecting words from that page, I have to make sure that the words still make sense when an ing suffix is added. So as a side note, whenever I am pulling words from various pages to teach a rule like the spelling rule or for review, I make sure to only choose words from previously taught lessons. And if you run out of words on the many vowel consonant E lesson pages to create games and word study activities, you'll find dozens more in the words, phrases, and sentence materials that are found on the We Shall Read website in the shop. Or if you are enrolled in the training, it is in the shared Google Drives under Games and Materials. Now let's take a look at a lesson plan for introducing this skill. I have my lesson plan here, and I'm going to start with how I would teach the new skill. So after we tap charts and we do sound dictation, I'm going to introduce this new skill by connecting it to what we've previously learned. So previously we've done the ing suffix with our closed syllable words. So I might start with telling my students that we've been working on reading words with the suffix ing. And we've been talking about how this suffix changes the meaning of a base word to mean that something is happening now or it will be happening. So if I have the base word spend, I like to spend money, and I add ing, it becomes spending. I will be spending my birthday money on some new clothes. Well, let's take a look at another word, print. Can you print this page out for me? If I add ing, it becomes printing. I will be printing this page out for you. So it changes the meaning. And we can just add ing to the end of those words. And we can read the base word and then add the ing. Well, we're going to be looking at words with vowel consonant E, and we're going to be adding that ing to the end. And it's a little bit different. And I want to see if you can tell what the difference is. All right, let's take a look at this word. This word is a vowel consonant E that ends with a silent E. And that word is hope. I want to change it to hoping. Do you see what happened? Hoping. What did you notice? Did you notice that that E was covered? Let's take a look at another word. Here's another silent E word, shine. I'm going to add the ing to the end to make it shining. Did you see what happened? Again, that E is covered, isn't it? Let's take a look at another one, flake. I want to make it flaking. Oh, that E is being covered again. That's right. Let's take a look at some other examples with a different suffix. Here's the word, another silent E word. Here's the word wave. And I want to make it waves. What did the E get covered here? It didn't. No. Let's take a look at the word skate. And I want to make it skates. The E is not covered there, right? I wonder why. Why do we cover the E when I add ing? Well, I'll tell you, there's a rule that goes with it. This I can actually jump and tell that O to say its name. So we don't need that E because the I is going to take over an ing to make it hoping. Okay. Same with shining. That I is going to take over and jump and tell that I to say its name, shining. And same for flaking. So there's a rule that goes with this. The rule is when a word ends in a silent E, we're going to drop the E before adding a suffix that begins with a vowel. And ing begins with a vowel, doesn't it? Is S a suffix that's a vowel? Nope, S is not a vowel. So that E can still jump and do its job. That is our rule today. And we're going to practice by first, let's arm spell some words with ing. Last time when we did these words, remember we put that ing, it's a suffix. We can put that ing on the hand. So I have it listed right here that we're going to arm spell these words and we're going to tap the suffix on the hand. So this is what it looks like. We have the word joking. So joking, if we pound it, joking. We think about the base word is joke. We're going to put joke on our arm. Here we go. J, O, K. And to make it joking, we could put the ing on our hand. Ing, joking. Let's try racing. Racing. The base word is race. Let's put that on our arm. R, A, S. And then we can put ing on our hand. So now we're going to do some word study. And since it's a spelling rule, I have chosen an activity where we are going to write some words. Remember this vowel consonant E suffix rule page? You can modify this since I'm just going to be working with adding S and ing in my plan. I've written the T chart and which words I'm going to dictate. We're going to arm spell and write some of these words. So the first word is wipe. So I would have the student put it on their arm. We're going to make wipes. And they're going to think about what suffix do they hear? Wipes. We're adding S. So they're going to put it on their arm. W, I, P, and then add that S. W, I, P. Here they need to think that for that I to say I, they need that E, and then we add the S. This is a previously taught skill. We've done work with vowel consonant E with adding S. So this is not a new skill, but I'm including it here because we're talking about this rule. Because I starts with a vowel, we would drop the E. And S does not start with a vowel, so we don't drop the E here. So now let's make it wiping. And it's the word wipe. W, I, remember that I jumps. I drew that little arrow, so we don't need that E. That E is not going to go there. Instead, the I will take its place. Wiping. And you can even have them draw a jumping I just to remind them that, okay, that I is actually doing that job. So you can continue to practice writing a few words with adding the suffix S and adding the suffix ing for that pattern recognition. We have to drop the E, and here we don't. So that's the writing piece. Now there's also a reading piece. They need to be able to read that this word here says wiping and not whipping, right? Because that E is not there. So again, I have tic-tac-toe cards because we're going to play tic-tac-toe for our game. I have just created some cards with some different words with ing here. We're going to play tic-tac-toe later, and these are going to be our word cards. Now watch me do this one first, because this one's a little different. So I see ing, and then before the ing is our base word. But I'm looking at that base word, and it looks like it says smock, right? It looks like it says smock. Remember that I is jumping and telling it the O to say its name. So that base word is really smoke, and the I is replacing the E. So that word is smoking. And so you would have the student go ahead, and we're going to highlight the ing. We'll underline the base word. And we know that that I is jumping over and telling that A to say its name. So that base word is really shake, and that's shaking. So then when you're done marking your cards, you can go ahead and play the game, or if you have time, you can do some sentence work. I have cut up sentences 2 parts. Instead of putting them all on the table, I like to give it to the student one at a time, like that. And I'm going to say, okay, I want you to find the ing suffix. And so they would go through, and here's the ing suffix. And then they can underline that base word and read that word, gliding. And then they can read the plane was gliding. They're going to decide if that is the first part of the sentence or the ending part. And we see a capital letter, so that's going to be the first part of the sentence. And I'll have them go through and one at a time. Find the ing. And here the base word is not a vowel consonant E word. Land, landing, in for a landing. And that part is the ending sentence. So we're going to put that over on this side. And then once they're done marking then they can go through and match them up. The plane was gliding. Oh, that one in for a landing. That one was in the right place. And they can match up their sentences that way. And then you can play your tic-tac-toe game. You can take these words, cut them up. If you're in a classroom, you can have your students pair up. Each person is going to be a different color, and the teacher can dictate these words. So you have them make their tic-tac-toe board. X's is going to be one color and O's will be the other color. And the teacher can go ahead and dictate the words and say, okay, the first word for the X's is the word hoping. And so students would put it on their arm, hope, and then ing, and then they would play. First person, hope, ing, and that I is jumping. Okay, now it is O's turn, and O's word is shaving, shaving, and then they will go ahead and arm spell it, shave, ing, sh, a, ing, knowing that that I is telling that A to make its long sound, and they can keep playing like that. And there you have a lesson plan for teaching your vowel consonant E plus ing. Know that these are not the only activities that you can do. You can also use these game cards to play bingo later, so students get more practice.